welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you, right out of the storybooks with my co-host, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Welcome to the show.
And welcome back, Cotter and everybody else, and Robert. And we thank you for being here on this. Hope it's a nice September day down here in South Georgia, and it is September the 9th, 2025, and we hope you're doing as well as possible wherever you are. And as always, you know, I'm always praying that you will always continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. So, Robert, what we got tonight? What's our... Oh, I forgot what the name of the story was already.
Northern Lights.
Yeah, Northern Lights.
How appropriate.
So we'll have that story later on in the program.
That's right. That's right. Along with the card pull and all the good stuff. And tonight I got a story right out of the history books again with this guy is Antoine Robidoux. Robidoux. He's French. Antoine Robidoux.
And it might be pronounced Robinoy.
Robinoy? Oh, maybe. Robinoid. I was thinking of Chris
go with
Ledoux.
What you got. I'm just saying.
You know, and it's kind of, I don't know actually what I'm probably butchering it, but we'll just call him Antony. Anyway, how about that? Anthony. Yeah, Anthony.
Yeah.
So anyway, I see we got people coming in. Chloe's here. Elderberry. How you doing? Anyway, okay, so tonight we take a journey to the icy peaks and forested trails of the Northern Rockies and drop down into the sunbaked canyons, red rock mesas, and high deserts of the American Southwest. And this story of a French fur trader, that I can't pronounce his last name, who didn't just trailblaze, he built empires. His name was Anthony. We'll just go with that.
Robinoid.
Robinoid? Okay. And where others saw danger, he saw opportunity, just like all those guys back then. From the ancient lands of the Ute to the Navajo to the booming trade hubs of Taos and Santa Fe, Robinoid carved his name into the wild heart of the frontier. And this is a forgotten tale of a man who out-traded, outlasted, and outwitted everyone in his path. Welcome to the world of Anthony Robinoid, the empire builder of the Southwest. And now we heard those names before, Taos and Santa Fe. And, Kit Carson and all those guys seem to funnel through Taos. It was a big trading area, I guess. Town wasn't that big, but, hey. Anyway, so we're going to move on. There's really no pictures of this guy. But Anthony was born in St. Louis, Missouri in 1794 into a French-Canadian family. So he is French. And down in that area, the French were settling things. So, that's kind of how he ended up there. He was the son of Joseph Robinoid Sr., a French-Canadian fur trader. And so it was fur trading and being in the wilderness was right in his blood. In a patriarch of powerful trading industry, Anthony was raised in the bustling river town where pelts were as common as coins, and French was still the language of the frontier commerce. Even the Indians spoke it. He was well educated for the time and learned not only to read and write, but he learned to speak Spanish also. Now, I can imagine he was speaking French, Spanish, and he probably was speaking English too. Although it doesn't, say, but I imagine he was. So he was an accomplished man that speaks 3 languages.
It's assumed that he speaks English.
Yes, it's assumed, and I imagine if he was, as we find out, with this trading opportunity and everything, he will, he was one of Ashley's 100, and I imagine he probably did speak some English at least. Anyway, in 1820s, while many mountain men were pushing north or west, Anthony had his eyes on the Spanish Southwest. He followed the old Spanish trade routes into New Mexico and settling in Santa Fe. And there he did what few outsiders had managed. He married into a prominent Mexican family. Now remember, the Spanish had been there for a long time and they were well settled. He became a Mexican citizen. Now remember Kirker last week? He also became Mexican citizen. I think that was a thing of the times, You want to go and be in
Thank
that
you very
territory?
much. I thought I was having a flashback.
What do you mean?
Oh, because I was like,
Robidoux.
didn't somebody we talked about recently marry into the Mexican family? Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah,
My
last
brain was
week.
going, what? But okay.
Yeah.
So Antoine Robidoux, he knows his business, doesn't he? And he is married into a prominent Mexican family. That's very interesting. Please continue.
And
I'm sorry,
maybe he
interrupted.
did this for a business opportunity too, because he became a citizen and was granted the right to trade in Mexican territory. So apparently, if you were an American, you couldn't do that. And New Mexico and Mexico and all those states, over to California at this point in time in the 1820s was still Spanish held. Remember?
Yeah.
Anyway.
And believe it or not, the reason he married into Mexican Spanish is so he would not have to pay an American tariff.
Yeah.
If you were American and you were or lesser so to the French, but they didn't call it tariff back then, but you had to pay special taxes to the government in order to sell your stuff.
There was always a fee, there's always a fee.
Yeah.
So let's get on and find out what fees he was probably. Anyway, by the early 1830s, Anthony had become one of the most successful fur traders in the Southwest. But he wasn't trapping the way other mountain men were. No, Robidoux was, or what did you call it? Robidoux or Anthony Robidoux was running a business. He saw opportunity where others saw hardship. He built two major trading posts. One at Fort Uncompadre, near present-day Delta, Colorado. That was around 1830. And he also built Fort Robidoux, or whatever you would like to call it, also known as Fort Utah, or in northeastern Utah in 1832. This guy was just going around building forts all over the place, wasn't he? And these were more than wooden stockades. They were full-blown outposts of commerce, where the Ute and the Shoshone and other native tribes traded their buffalo robes and beaver pelts for guns, powder, clothes, beads, and whiskey. Ooh, whiskey. Robidoux had close dealings with the Ute people, marrying a Ute woman and becoming, so he married a Mexican woman, and I don't know what happened to her, and now he married a Ute woman. Well, he's got quite a harem. And maybe the other one died off, I don't know. And become deeply involved in the tribal affairs. But over time, his reputation shifted, and he began as a respected trader and a go-between. Many stories emerge of his abuse tied to his operations, including rumored of trafficking of native women and children into slavery and worsening alcohol trade that some tribes saw as a betrayal. Now, who were these Ute people? That's what we want to know. Okay, so
who was what?
The Ute people, because that's
yeah.
That's what he got into. And well, the Ute people, they were. Let me get back to my notes here. The Ute are a tribe whose ancestral lands covered vast swaths of modern-day Colorado, Utah, and northern New Mexico. They are among the oldest continuous inhabitants of the American Southwest, with archaeological evidence placing them back in the region over 1,000 years. So they really had the rights to that land. My great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather was here.
Yep,
and
also they're the Skinwalker Ranch folks.
Yes, exactly. They were the Great Basin, the Rocky Mountain Plateau people, culturally and distinct from other Plains Indians. Their traditional lifestyles included hunting, gathering, seasonal migrations, and later, after the arrival of a horse, buffalo hunting and mounted warfare. Their homelands, the Ute, traditionally lived in what is now eastern Utah, hence the name of his fort, Utah, and western Colorado and parts of northern New Mexico. Their territory ranged from Great Salt Lake to the Sangria de Cristos Mountains. I don't know where those are, but I imagine they're somewhere in there. I've never heard of those mountains. Bands, well, the Utes were made up of several different bands, each with their own leadership. Their dialects and territories, you know how the Indians are. They got they didn't all bunch up like one big tribe and just march around. They broke up into little, functioning towns, with their own chief and their own shaman and their own warriors and so forth and so on. And I imagine
consider their dialect as like slang. Okay.
Yes.
So, us Southerners, we talk like this down here. And, Northerners just don't talk like that. So It's slang. So, but, many characteristics of their language are the same, but, Northern, Southern traditions, it's slang. Anyway.
Yep, exactly. Well, and you might have heard of some of these different ones. Their bands were the Uncompadre, the Wimamichi, the Moche, the Capote, and the Tabahuchi, and others, of course. Their dwellings, they used teepees. In warmer months, wickiups, a dome-shaped hut made of brush and hides. And we've seen them before. Apache used them and several other tribes. Their food, they lived off of the deer, the elk, the rabbits, berries, nuts, and roots, and in later periods, buffalo and horses. And they become crucial. That was crucial to their economy because once you had a horse, you could go out and, catch buffalo.
And
shoot buffalo.
Steal from the white people.
And that too. The Ute were among the first tribes in the Southwest to adopt the horse. Well, they were closer to the Spanish where the horses were, down in Mexico. So I imagine. Well, and thanks to trade and raids with Spanish colonists in the early 1600s, horses transformed their culture. They became formidable warriors and skilled horsemen, raiding Spanish and Mexican settlements for livestock and captives. Their reputation as a fierce defenders of their territory was well known across the Southwest. Well, Antony, the fur trader, he had ties with the Ute. He married into the Ute tribe, likely for both love and political advantage. See, I knew there was something underlying him. And his wife was from the high status family, which gave him protection and influence. Okay, Antony built a Fort Uncompadre and Fort Robidoux or Robidoux or whatever, in Ute territory with their approval and cooperation. He traded guns and knives and cloth and alcohol in exchange for beaver pelts. Alcohol probably wasn't such a good thing. His relationship soured when some Ute bands turned on his trading post in 1844, destroying Fort Robidoux. Reasons are debated, and some may say it was due to his sale of Ute women as slaves. Yeah, that probably would get under their collar. Others say it was a stemming from the alcohol trade and broken promises, and I think it was probably a little bit of both. Hey, you take my wife and kids and you sell them off as slaves, and you give me a bottle of alcohol. You know, I was reading that one book where the chief, he was quite the alcoholic, and he went into the trading post, and I forget what book that was, Life in the Rocky Mountains, and these guys are there, and the chief wants a pint, and he gets a pint, and he runs out of pelts, and he runs out of everything, and he looks at the guy and he says, I got the prettiest daughter in the village, and I will trade you her for a barrel of whiskey or whatever it was, keg or something, I guess. I'm thinking, so your daughter's worth a keg of whiskey that you just drink up, and then you won't even have a daughter anymore. Boy, talk about an alcohol.
Well, some daughters were only good for a pint of ale. How much is your daughter worth? Well, about this much.
She's all yours. I'll have to feed her out anyway. Yeah. But as the white settlers, the trappers, and traders poured into the Rockies, the Utes were gradually pushed from their homelands. During the Treaty of 1868, which ceded large portions of their land, in the Meeker Massacre of 1879, a violent clash after federal agents tried to force the Ute into farming, Christianity, and boarding schools. Eventually, the Ute were confined to reservations, primarily in the Ouray Reservation in Utah, and Southern Ute and Ute Mountain Reservations in Colorado. But today, the Ute continues to thrive, and there are 3 federally recognized tribes: the Southern Ute Tribe, the Ute Mountain Ute Tribe, and the Ute Indian Tribe of Utah and Ouray Reservation over by Fort Duchesne in Utah. They are protectors of their language, their land, and their heritage, and they have a proud history of resistance and survival, resilience, survival, and cultural strength. So there you go. There's a little bit about the Ute Indians, and as we scroll on down to find out what's more about this, well,
interesting verbiage. And eventually they were all rounded up, just nonchalantly. They were all rounded up, and sent off to the Christian schools and everything. And the families were broken up, and, now you wonder why the Utes are ticked off.
But that happened to all the tribes.
Right. But it was how nonchalantly they described it, is my point.
Yeah, I guess so. But, yeah. Well, anyway, let's move on here. So he's in trouble with the natives. That wasn't such a good. Well, in 1840, his fortunes took a violent turn when the warriors attacked and burned down his fort. And of course, that kind of kicked him in the butt. Well, after the loss of his fort, Robidoux, he drifted back into history again. He returned to New Mexico, and later he served as a guide and an interpreter during the Mexican-American War between 1846 and 1848. He worked for the U.S. Army, and once again proving his worth as a man who could navigate the cultural languages and the landscape of the Southwest with ease. Now, I got a question for you. I'm looking at these dates, and I'm going, oh my gosh, 1846 and 1848, right? And you think just 100 years later, the United States is a big country, We have planes, trains, automobiles, and 100 years later, we, let off the first atomic weapon. Finished World War II already. I mean, how fast things change. You know what I mean?
And UFOs.
Yeah, UFOs. But I mean, think about it. In 1846 and 1848, the United States was fighting a war with Mexico over land to become the United States that we know today. It's just amazing, and it seems like a blink of an eye that it was just so recently. Really, we don't even really think about that much. How just such a short period of time, like in 100 years. 100. You imagine him? He's out there, and if somebody would say, "Yeah, in 100 years, we're going to have all this place. There are going to be trains and cars and roads, and no more, fighting Indians and Mexicans will be just coming across the border wherever they want." But you know what I mean.
Oh yeah. I mean, with the War of 1812 and so forth, and there was always a Democrat Republican kind of thing going on, and it all had to do about trade, and it had to do a lot with the cotton market in the South and the steel trade in the North, which is still basically what's going on today. And so trade along the Mississippi was important. And they were arguing the whole way because it was one man's money versus another. And these guys would steal from one another. And steamboats were being very popular by that time. And so trade was it wasn't just natives in canoes anymore. It was steamboat trade.
Yep. Yeah. They cleared the rivers enough that the steamboats.
And that's one of the things that sort of prompted wars. Somebody's got a hold of something, or I can't get my product to the rail line, or I can't get it to the steamboat. And but anyway, go ahead, Robert.
Okay. Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So okay. So in 18, we're going to move up the line. Remember, so he's working as a guide and interpreter in late 1840s, and now, well, we just move up the line to 1860, and that's when he died. His last days were spent quietly compared to the thunder of his early life. He was buried near St. Joseph, Missouri, a fitting place for a man who once stood on the edge of an empire and wilderness alike. But Antony's name lives on, not just in the rivers and mountains that bear his name, but the cultural crossroads he embodied. He was a part French, part American, and part Mexican citizen, part mountain man, and entirely a man of his own making. So how great that is. I mean, to be a Mexican citizen, be an American citizen, just amazing. And I have a story here from him, so about him or for him, if I can find it now. Oh yeah, here. This is the burning of Fort Robidoux. In the late spring of 1844, a cloud of smoke rose over the hills of northeastern Utah. The smoke marked the end of a dream, the destruction of Fort Robidoux, one of the last great bastions of fur trade in the Southwest. Antony, a man who once controlled an empire of trade from Colorado to Arizona, was hundreds of miles away when the Ute warriors descended on his fort. So he wasn't even there to defend it. Why did they burn it? Some say it was the firearms, and Robidoux had traded too many rifles and too much powder, upsetting the delicate balance between peace and bloodshed among the Indian tribes. Others claim that his fort had become a center for illegal trade in captives, a practice that enraged many native groups. Whatever the reason, the attack was swift, and by nightfall the fort was in ash and was just a memory. When Anthony heard the news, he didn't ride out to rebuild. He knew it was over. The fur trade was dying. Well, yeah, of course. By 1844, the fur trade was pretty much over. It was amazing anybody was trading. There was probably no beaver left. The West was changing, and the age of the mountain man was ending. The burned timbers of Fort Robidoux marked not just the fall of a business, but the end of an era. But for years, that fort had stood as a symbol of daring ambition, and Anthony had pushed further into native lands than almost any American trader. And he mapped rivers, valleys, and negotiated peace. He defined the monopolies of foreign trade. Even in ruin, the name Robidoux echoed across the high plateaus. His legacy wasn't in gold or government. It was in grit, in the stories told around the fires, and the trails that others would follow west. And so that's kind of how that happened. He wasn't even there at his fort. Kind of sad, isn't it? But the Ute Indians were, who he associated with and built his forts, and they kind of allowed it because he, there's always a scheme to get in. You know what I mean? And it's all about political trade and conquering, and the more you find out about it, nothing's changed. We do the same things today. It's all over resources. And when the resources dry up, like the fur trade dried up, well, they burn your fort down and you just walk away. Start a new something, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's the way I see
it.
And so
yeah, and
anyway.
they were really soon to some of the people is like, well, I don't like this place, and think I'll move on. They just lit a torch and burnt everything and just moved their stuff and off they went.
Yeah.
So where today you wouldn't think about, well, everybody, I'm going to burn the house down before we leave.
Well, they did that in those days.
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
They burnt the house down to take the nails. I mean, when I first heard that, I thought it was so ridiculous that you would burn your house down so you could go through it and pick up the nails, because nails, of all things, were valuable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, today, most people don't even use nails because, it's all screwed in, and, or you got a nail gun, it's how many people out there are hammering away, putting on a roof with their hammer, bam, 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 no, they got the nail gun, or you got a screw gun, nails. I had some nails and somebody, well, what? Nails? Yeah. But it's amazing how our world changes, doesn't it?
Yeah, I still use nails, but then in some places they're a necessity, especially them great big long spikes, sometimes come in handy for hanging stuff up in the shed kind of thing. But yeah, and like my house has got some old, I tore down tobacco barns to repurpose it, and it had them square shank nails in them.
Oh yeah,
that's not just regular nails, but the square shank nail. So, and those are real fun to pull out.
Well, yeah, that's I suppose that's why I didn't pull everything down like that, because most of those nails would have been square shank nails, don't you think?
Yeah, because that's how they made them.
Well, yeah, I mean, not the nails that we see today. It ain't the one with the fancy head on it and you just yank it out. No, it'd been the big square thing, and then a bigger nail.
My local hardware store you'd go back in the back, and then have great big round trays, about 2 or 3 layers in bins, and your nails would be, in there, and they'd give you a paper sack, and they'd go get your nails, and you'd go get as many as you needed, and then you'd weigh them up and pay the man.
Yep, I remember
Those
doing that
days are
myself.
gone.
I would do that myself. I remember all the bins, and you get your bag, and I want some of these. I want 10 pennies and some, eight commons, and I want some roofing nails, and yeah. And today was like,
Especially
nails.
especially when you're putting in trim. You're going to need some finished nails, and it was
Yeah.
easy to go down there and just get a sack of nails. But to your point, everything is prepackaged in a box now. You can't go get a sack of nails like you could. I'm sure there are some places that still do, but it used to be that every hardware store is where you could get nails like that. And now it would be the reverse as to if you could find a hardware store that could do that. But anyway.
Well, exactly. I mean, now you go in, they got nuts, bolts, and screws. And now, like, even if you go to Menards, they got little boxes of screws and little boxes of nails. And it's like, what, nobody does carpentry work anymore? And if you want, you got to buy big buckets of them, and I suppose that's more for contractors, but they don't have the nails and the things like they used to. Yeah, it's just not a thing. The people don't do stuff like that anymore. Even so, I mean, you want to build something, you hire out for it. You want to, that's what people, I mean, how many young people, I should say, maybe you don't even know any, I don't know any, that actually build anything?
Yeah, really. No, not quite.
Yeah.
Right. And the last time I knew some young people who I thought had a little bit of common sense came out to help me to split wood last year or the year before, I think it was. Anyway, they busted both of my axes in less than 5 minutes and left me and said, "Well, Mr. Dave, we helped you out," and got in the car and drove away and left me with broken axes. Now, how am I supposed to split wood? And they were just like, "Oh, there you go," and it was like, you don't even know what you did. Bye, Mr. Dave. I ain't seen him since.
Yeah. Well, here's what the chat is saying. Chloe says, my stepdad built stuff. Well, your stepdad's probably older than you. And I'm talking about young people, in their 20s and, 30s, between 20 and 30, when unless they're on a roofing contractor crew or something like that, or building a house. I mean, when they go home, are they building stuff at home? Are they making the picnic table? Are they putting up shelves? No, and if they are they building the shelves? When I want something, I build my own stuff. I make my own shelf. I want to make a chair, the table that I'm using right here. I built myself. I needed a computer table. I went and got boards and materials, measured it all out, and I made my own computer table. I didn't wait around for somebody and say, "Oh, I need to buy one." I'll buy one of those things on the internet.
I save money on rope cut too. I bought this Chinese set of bookshelves. And it's like pressed wood. Go buy some real wood.
Yeah, and Chloe says people don't do that kind of thing anymore. That's
it's
the
so
problem.
Easy.
Yeah, and did you mill the tree? Yes, Scotty boy, I have milled the tree. When I lived in Wisconsin, we had lots of trees. I cut the tree. I had the sawmill come out. I helped the sawmill guy cut up all the boards. We dried the boards. I planed the boards and I made bunches of picnic tables and chairs. Those, you know, the ironic chairs that you sit back and have the big arms and stuff. I made all of that from scratch, all of it. I designed my own templates and things, and I did it all. I made everything. I made trash bin things for bookshelf. I still got my bookshelves all milled and cut from my own hands. I cut the tree and made it myself. I'm so proud of those bookcases I have because I made them from the tree to my back room there. They're all made by hand, and I cut the tree and everything. So there you go.
And in my house, I used trees from my backyard, pine trees.
Yeah.
It's a pole barn construction type house. And so, yeah, I mean, you can't get any closer to using a tree than the tree.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I have no trees here in North Dakota.
No.
And if I always wanted to buy a nice little sawmill and cut lumber, but even if I bought a sawmill now, I'd have no lumber to cut because there's just no trees to cut. You know? Anyhow, I always think that if I would retire someday, I'd buy me a sawmill and I'd have to move somewhere where there's trees, and then I'd just cut lumber for a pastime, you know?
Yeah.
But I do like building.
Yeah. And you'll have your own forest. Well,
yeah.
In my lifetime, I never knew that there was going to be a forest up here on the hill, and I've got trees this big around up there. So, you know, starting now in 20 years, you'll have lumber.
That's right. But yeah, trees don't grow so good out here, though. You know, I mean, otherwise people would be planting trees, but they're just not the thing. You know, most of it's just not the kind of soil to grow that stuff. That's why it's the plains, you know. Anyhow, it's
just plain and simple.
Yeah. No, I think it's the dirt. It's kind of muddy. It's also, you know, the wind blows so hard. It's like I planted some apple trees this spring, and I gotta put some stakes in or something, because when the wind blows, you know, they're standing like this, and when the wind blows, they're like this. And I'm thinking, one of these, if they get bigger, the wind's gonna blow and just break them in pieces. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, you need a windbreak.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a windbreak for my tree. Oh boy, you know, but hey, that's the way it goes. There's Lucky Stone. You don't need trees when you live on clay. Clay is pretty strong to build with. Yeah, maybe, but that's the thing. You got to do with your resources. That's like the natives. That lived out here. They lived in teepees. Why? Because there wasn't many trees. They could, you know, stop where the cottonwoods were. They could cut the few trees and make a teepee out of it. And they had that for years and years and years. They gathered buffalo dung, you know, cow patties, to use for fires, because there's no trees to start a fire. But if you pile up that, you know, cow dung, and buffalo dung, I should say, then you would be able to burn that in your fire. It wouldn't smell the greatest, but hey, you know, keep you warm, right?
Yep.
So anyway.
So
okay, that's it for me.
You think we got time for 2 stories tonight?
Maybe. It's all up to you, because I did my thing. I hope everybody enjoyed that. If you want, go study up on this guy, Antoine Robidoux. How do you pronounce it? Robidoux?
Yes, you got it about right that time.
Okay. So anyway, go look him up. Very interesting guy. Look up the Ute people, the Ute tribes, a lot in there. You know, and about them. Very interesting. One of the first Native American horse cultures out there. It's just sad that they, you know, got conquered like all the rest of them, but I guess it was inevitable. So I am pulling up the story for tonight as we speak. So we're good there. And I'm going to get you right on the road here in a second. Anyway, thank you, everybody. While we got a second here, I want to say, hey, check this shirt out. I just got this today. It's the Milky Way Soul Tribe t-shirt with Be the Frequency You Want to Receive on it. Go over the Streamlabs. It should be the pinned comment up above. If you're in the chat, if you're not, it's below the description of the show. Go get yourself a Milky Way Soul Tribe t-shirt. This time it doesn't have my smiling face on it, but hey, it's still good. It's got Be the Frequency You Want to Receive on it, which is good all the way around. And it is a nice comfy shirt. So help support Nina on her Streamlabs. Remember, she's trying to raise some monies for some health care, holistic health care. So go over to her channel and support her by buying some merchandise or give her a thing, because, you know, we want to see Nina all healthy. And this is the way she can get it done. And but anyway, so thank you, Scotty boy, for that. It means a lot. I hope I'm doing him justice. I think I am. You know, to really think about it, I do my best. You know, sometimes I falter a little bit because I work, and, you know, I got to have a job to support my habit here. And anyway, let's see what else is there I want to mention. But I want to shout out to everybody: Chloe, F Kitty, Scotty boy, I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you for coming. Lucky Stone, thank you, and Elderberry. Oh yeah, Elderberry. Let's see, anybody else in here? Haven't seen. Okay, bum 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 bum. I'm sure Nina's in there somewhere. Lady Spellbreaker, who had a great show. Go check her out. She had that show with what's her name? Oh God, I had her on my show too. Joan Aether. Yeah. Anyway, go over there, check that out. She was it was good to have her on that. I was listening to that earlier. So June Aether. But anyway, yeah, really good show. Go check her out. Lady is really knowledgeable. She had a near-death experience along somewhere in her life, and that opened up her mind to the other side. And so she sees and hears the spirits and does all kinds of things like that. So very good, nice lady. I think I'll have her on again someday, maybe. I hope. But do as you can. Try to buy shirts. Support Nina over there. And David, you're all set?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, I am going to get the rock and roll in here. I got to find the right layout for us. And then I'm going to remove it, and it's all yours as of now.
All right. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, to another Hawkeye's reading of Glooskap's Country and Other Indian Tales by Macmillan, by Cyrus Macmillan, 1922. Tonight's story is called The Northern Lights. One autumn day in old times, a woman and her infant son were lost in the Canadian woods. The woman was going back to her home from a long journey, and in some strange way she wandered from the path. The more she walked about, the more confused she became. And for many days she searched for the right road, but she could not find it. All the time she lived on berries and on the little food that she carried. At last she found a cave in the woods, and she decided to use it for a home. She had not been long in the cave when a large bear came in, and she knew then that she had taken refuge in a bear's den. The thought of the bear would kill her and her child, but the bear was good. He looked upon them as his own kind, and soon they all became friends. The bear hunted during the day, and each night he brought to the cave much meat, which the woman cooked. So they lived comfortably through the long winter. After a time, the woman's child grew to be a very strong boy. The bear taught him to wrestle, and after a few weeks' practice, the boy could throw down his teacher. And the mother said, "He will be a great warrior," for she knew that his strength was more than human. When the boy grew large and strong enough to take care of his mother, they decided to try to find the way back to their old home. So one day, they said goodbye to the bear and set out on their journey. After many hardships and dangers, they reached their native village where the people who had thought them dead received them with great rejoicing. The boy continued to grow in strength until the people said they had never seen anyone so powerful. There was no limit to his strength. One day, the boy said to his mother, "I am going to travel far away until I find other men who are as strong as I am. Then my strength will be tested, and I will come back to you." His mother agreed that he should go, and one morning he set out on his strange journey. He came to the bank of a river, and there he saw a man standing not far ahead of him. As he looked, a large canoe came drifting down the river, filled with people. They had lost their paddles. One of the people called to the man on the bank and asked him to help them to land. The man put out a long pole and placed the end of it under the canoe and lifted the canoe and all the people to the beach. "There," thought the boy, "is a man as strong as I am." Then the boy ran to the spot and picked up the canoe full of people and carried it up the bank. He spoke to the man and told him of his own great strength. Then he said, "We are two strong men. Let us go along together until we find a third man as strong as we are." The man agreed, and he went along with the boy. They traveled far that day, and in the afternoon they came to a country of high rocky hills. It was a lonely and silent place, and no people seemed to be living in it. At last they saw a man rolling a large stone up the side of a mountain. The stone was as large as a house, and the mountain was very steep, but the man rolled the stone up with ease. He had rolled it halfway up when the two strangers came along. The boy picked up the stone and threw it to the top of the mountain without difficulty. And the roller man looked at them with great wonder. Then the boy told him of the strength of himself and of his comrade, and said, "We are three strong men. Let us go hunting together." The men agreed, and the three went along together. They built a house for themselves to live in while they hunted. They agreed that only two of them should go away at once to hunt, and that the others should stay at home to look after the place and to prepare the evening meal. They decided that each should stay at home in his own turn. The next day, the man of the river bank who had lifted the canoe stayed home. Towards evening, he got ready for the coming of his comrades, and he cooked a good meal to have waiting for them. Just as he had finished cooking it, a small boy came in and asked for food. He was very small and worn and ragged, and the man pitied him and told him to eat what he wanted. The boy ate and ate and ate until he had eaten all the food prepared for the three strong men. Then he went away and disappeared in the side of the mountain. When the two hunters came home, they were very hungry, and they were cross when they heard that their meal had all been eaten up, and they vowed vengeance on the little glutton who had taken all their food. The next day it was the turn of the stone rolling man to stay at home. In the evening he cooked a good meal for himself and his comrades. But before the hunters came home, the little boy came in again and asked for food. He looked so small and worn, and he cried so bitterly that the man did not have the heart to send him away, and he told him to eat what he wanted. The boy ate and ate and ate until not a scrap of food was left. He laughed and went out and disappeared in the mountain. When the two hunters came home, they were again very cross to find that their food had all been eaten up by a tiny boy. The next day, the strong boy stayed at home while the canoe lifter and the stone roller went hunting. In the evening, the small boy came again, just as he had done on the two previous days. He wept and asked for food. The strong boy told him to eat what he wanted. He ate and he ate and he ate as before until he had eaten up the whole meal. Then he got up to go out, but the strong boy caught him and held him fast. There was a long struggle, for the tiny boy was very powerful, and he was almost a match for the strong boy. But at last he was thrown down, and he pleaded for his life. The strong boy said he would spare him on condition that he would take him to his home. He wanted to see what kind of a place he lived in, and the small boy agreed. When the strong boy went with him to the side of the mountain, when they reached it, the little boy said, "I am the servant of a terrible giant who has never been defeated in battle. I think you can overtake him. Take this stick and beat him with it, for it is the only thing that can give him pain." Then he gave him a stick that lay on the ground, and they went on to the giant's cave in the side of the hill. When they went in, the giant sprang upon the strong boy. There was a long fight. It lasted for a whole day. And at last the strong boy overcame the giant and beat him dead with the magic stick. Then the little boy said, "I will reward you for freeing me from my terrible master. I have three beautiful sisters, and you may have whichever one you want for your wife." He took the strong boy to his home in a cave far down in a valley on the other side of a mountain, and there they found the 3 beautiful girls. The strong boy took the youngest one for himself, and then he took the other 2 for his 2 comrades. When they came out of the cave, the strong boy found that they would have a very hard path to climb up the steep side of the mountain. Then, luckily, as he thought, he saw his 2 strong comrades standing at the top of a high cliff far above him. They saw him and the 3 girls far below them. He called to them to let down a rope and said, "The 3 girls I have with me cannot climb the steep path. You must pull them up." So the men above let down a strong cord, and the strong boy sent up the 2 oldest girls first, one at a time. Then, before sending up his own choice, the youngest, he thought he would test the loyalty of his comrades. They were standing far back from the top of the cliff, holding the rope, and they could not see the boy and the girl below. The boy tied a heavy stone to the end of the rope and called, "I'm going up next, pull away." The men pulled and pulled until they had drawn the weight near the top of the cliff, and then they cut the rope. Down crashed the stone to the bottom of the cliff, where it broke into many pieces. The men above hoped that they had killed their comrade. They did not think that he had meant the 2 fairy wives for them, so that they decided to kill him. But they were outwitted by the boy and the stone. "That is a fine way to reward my kindness," said the boy to his girl companion when he saw the stone in pieces on the rocks. As he spoke, he looked up and saw the 2 fairy girls running away from the 2 men above, who were left all alone. Then, with the magic help of the little boy, the girl's brother, the strong boy, at once punished the 2 men by making them follow the girls. They followed them on, but they never found them. And they still follow them. They wander always, and they are never at rest. Then the strong boy left the little boy behind him to look after himself, and he took his fairy wife and climbed up the path and went to live far away in the forest. For a time they lived very happily. One day the boy said, "I'm going back to my old home to see my people. You must wait here, and in a few days I shall come back." The girl did not want him to go. She feared he would forget her, but he told her that he must go. Then she said, "When you reach your home, a small black dog will meet you at the door. It will jump to lick your hand, but do not let it touch you. It is an evil spirit in disguise, and if it licks your hand, you will forget all about me, and you will not come back to me." The man promised to be on his guard, and he set out for his native place, leaving his wife behind him. Soon he reached his house, and he opened the door. Sure enough, the black dog of which his wife had spoken jumped towards him. Before the strong boy could turn aside, the dog licked his hand as his wife had said. Then he forgot all about his old life in the forest, and he lived with never a thought of the fairy girl he had left behind him far away. His wife waited for him to come back. Then she knew that her husband had forgotten her because of the black dog, and late in the autumn she set out to find him. Soon she came to the place where he dwelt. It was morning, and she decided to hide until night and then go to his home. She went to a stream that ran beside the village and climbed into a tree that stretched out over the water. Nearby was an old house in which an old man lived. The old man came to the brook for water, and as he bent down to fill his pail, he saw the face of the beautiful girl in the tree reflected in the stream. He called to her to come down from the tree. He had never seen a creature so lovely. He brought her to his tent and gave her food. And he told her that her husband had gone far up the river to hunt. In the evening, she went along the river to wait for her husband as he came home. When she saw him coming in his canoe, she sat on the bank of the stream and sang her magic song. It was a song of a wonderful melody, which as only fairy maidens can sing. And the sound went far over the water and charmed all who heard it. When her husband heard the song, he stopped to listen. He soon knew that the music was that of his fairy wife of the forest, for no one else on earth could sing so wonderful a song. Then his old life in the forest came back to his mind with memories of the two strong men and the tiny boy and the three fairy girls, and he remembered his wife to whom he had promised to return. Then he paddled his canoe to the bank and found his wife, and they were happy again. It was a cold autumn night, and the moon was full, and his wife said, "We must not stay here. This is a wicked place where men forget. If you stay here, you will forget me again." Then she shuddered when she thought that her husband might forget her again, and he shuddered when he thought that he might lose her again. And they continued to tremble in fear. Then she said, "We must go to another land. It is a more beautiful land than this. It is the land of eternal memory, where men and women never forget those they loved. I know where it is. We will go to it." Then she sang her song, her magic song, and at once a great bird came through the air to where they sat. And still trembling in fear, lest they should forget each other, they sprang to the bird's back, and the bird carried them up to the sky. And there they were changed into northern lights. And you can still see them with their children around them on autumn nights in the North Country, beautiful in the northern sky. And they still tremble when they think of the land of forgetfulness that they left and of the pain it caused them in the old days of their youth. The end. Now, the next story up, I think I got time for it.
You got time for it? Okay, I'll pull it up. Just give me a second.
Well, let's see. We got 11:11.
Oh, you want to read because it's about another fairy, isn't it?
The Tobacco Fairy. from the
tobacco.
Blue Hills.
You were just talking about the tobacco things, tobacco sheds, or
Yep.
something like that. So tell me, how do you know how to do the tobacco? How do you know how to make tobacco?
What?
Do you know how to do tobacco? Make tobacco.
What do you mean make it?
Well, I mean, have you ever cured it or anything like that to make the tobacco?
Oh yeah. Way back in the day, there was a lot of tobacco that was grown around here. And yeah, absolutely. Boy, it's some nasty stuff though. You got to cure it and do it, and you try to smoke it green, and it'll blister your lips.
Oh, really? Oh
Yeah,
man.
we used to pick up the dried tobacco when we took it out of the barns, and you could take it and run it between your hands, and it was strong as hell. But you could smoke it when when you didn't have any more. So,
Uh huh.
but yeah,
Okay.
it's strong until it's cured. Let me tell you.
Huh. Okay. Well, how about that? I'd like to try some, but to grow some, but you can't grow it in North Dakota. Not enough growing season, I don't think. Yeah. Elderberry seems to know what he's talking about. Fermented in barn, top of spike hangers. Okay. Oh, you have. But anyway, okay, good deal. Okay, well, whenever you're ready, I am booting it up right now.
Yeah, we got time for this one.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a short one. That's why we looked at it before, and I was like, nah, let's
Okay,
tag this.
you're up.
Come on, let me give me a swig of stuff. And the name of this next story is called The Tobacco Fairy from the Blue Hills. And I am still reading from the book Glooskap Country and Other Indian Tales by Cyrus McMillan, 1922. The Tobacco Fairy from the Blue Hills. A man and his wife and 2 children were living long ago on the shores of a lake surrounded by large trees deep in the Canadian forest. They lived very happily together, and as game was plentiful, they wanted for nothing. As the children grew up, they became each day more beautiful and gentle until the old woman of the tribe said, "They are too good and lovely for this world. Their home is surely elsewhere in the West." Before they grew to maturity, a cruel plague spread over the land and carried them off with its ravages. Their mother was the next to go, slowly growing weaker and wasting away before the eyes of her husband, who was powerless to save her. The man was now left alone upon the earth. The joy of his life had gone with his wife and children, and he went about in great loneliness and sorrow. Life was long to him and dreary, and often he wished that he too was dead. But at last he roused himself and said, "I will go about doing good. I will spend my life helping others, and perhaps in that way I can find peace." So he worked hard and did all the good he could for the weaker and the poorer people of his tribe. He was held in high esteem by all the people of the village, and in their affection for him, They all called him grandfather. He grew to be very old, and because of his good deeds, he found great happiness. But he was still very solitary, and the days and evenings were long and lonely. And as he grew older and his work grew less, he found it hard to pass away the time, for he could only sit alone and dream of his vanished youth and of his absent friends. One day he sat thinking by the lake. Many people of the village were around him, but as usual, he sat alone. Suddenly, a large flock of birds, looking like great black clouds, came flying from the blue hills in the distance toward the shore of the lake. They wheeled and circled about and hovered long over the trees, uttering strange cries. The people had never before seen such large birds, and they were much afraid and said, "They are not ordinary creatures. They foreshadow some strange happening." Suddenly, one of the birds fluttered for an instant and fell slowly to the earth with an arrow in its breast. No one in the village had shot at the flock, and where the arrow had come from, no man knew. The mystery frightened the people still more, and they looked to the old man for counsel, for they knew that he was very wise. The fallen bird lay fluttering on the ground, seemingly in pain. The other birds circled about it for a short time, uttering loud cries. Then they screamed and called to each other and flew back to the distant blue hills, leaving the fallen bird behind them, with the arrow sticking in its breast. The old man was not frightened by the sight. He said, "I will go to the stricken bird. Perhaps I can heal its wound." But the people, in great fear, said, "Do not go, grandfather. The bird will do you harm." But the old man answered, "It can do no harm to me. My work is ended, and my life is almost done. My sky is dark, for I am full of sorrow, and with me it is already the twilight of time. I am alone in the world, for my kindred have gone. I am not afraid of death, for to me it would be very welcome. What matters it if I should die?" And he went to the stricken bird to see if he could help it. As he went along, his path suddenly grew dark. But as he drew nearer, a bright flame suddenly swept down from the sky to the place where the bird was lying. There was a flash of fire, and when the old man looked, he saw that the bird had been completely burned up. When he came to where it had lain, nothing but black ashes remained. He stirred up the ashes with his stick, and lying in the center, he found a large living coal of fire. As he looked at it, in a twinkling it disappeared, and in its place was a strange little figure, like a little man, no bigger than his thumb. "Hello, grandfather," it called. "Do not strike me, for I have been sent to help you." Who are you? Asked the old man. I am one of the little people from the distant blue hills, said the tiny boy. Then the old man knew that the little fellow was one of the strange fairy people of the mountains of whom he had often heard. What do you want? He asked. I have been sent to you with a precious gift, he answered. He answered the little man, and the old man wondered greatly, but he said nothing. Then the fairy from the blue hills said, You are old and lonely. You have done many noble deeds, and you have always gone about bringing good to others. In that way, you have found peace. And because of your good life, I have been sent to bring you more contentment. Your work is done, but your life is not yet ended, and you have still a long time to dwell upon the earth. You must live out your mortal course. You are longing always for your dead wife and children, and you are often thinking of your youth. And with you, the days are long and time hangs heavy. But I have been sent to you with a gift that will help you to pass the time more pleasantly. Then the little man gave him a number of small seeds and said, Plant these at once here in the ashes from which I have just risen. The old man did as he was told. At once the seeds sprouted, and great leaves grew from them, and soon the place where the bird had been burned up became a large field of tobacco. The fairy then gave him a large pipe and said, Dry these leaves and place them in this pipe and smoke them. You will have great contentment, and when you have nothing to do, it will help you to pass the time away. And when no one is with you, it will be a companion. And it will bring you many dreams of the future and of the past. And when the smoke curls upwards, it will have for you many visions of those you have loved. And you will see their faces in the smoke as you sit alone in the twilight. The old man was very thankful for the fairy's gift. But the little man said, Teach other old men how to use it, so that they too may possess it and enjoy it. Then the fairy quickly disappeared, going towards the distant blue hills. And he was never seen in the village again. And with his pipe and his tobacco, the old man went back to his dreaming with more contentment than before. In this way, tobacco was brought to the Indians in the old days. How about that for a story, eh? That was worth it. So old men who smoked their pipes, like Gandalf, and how they'd sit around the fire in the evening and smoke their pipes, and the billowing smoke would have the faces of the loved ones. That's an interesting way to put that.
It is. But you know,
And a
smoke is
nice way.
important. Smoke is important. It carries things to the spirit world and things like that.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
And see, it doesn't say that it was rolled up as a tobacco, as a cigarette and smoked. No, it was for, in the evenings, sitting on the porch or, just outside around the fire. It was for that, for contemplation. So I like that story.
Yeah.
I
Everybody
like
got
that.
guesses in. Get your guesses in now for the
Yep.
card pull. Oh, Steve Bow is smoking his pipe right now. Good for him.
I'll be shuffling the cards as we speak.
Yeah. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. I think it's going to be hummingbird, deer, antelope, mountain lion, and bear. That's my guesses. Anybody else got something better? I have no idea what the cards are, so come on, get your guesses in now. What do you think is going to be our future for the next week? We forgot your guesses. Porcupine, otter, elk, fox, and coyote, Chloe says. Or no, Lucky says. Lucky. Did Bob fall asleep? Yes. Bob was nodding off a little bit. But Scotty boy, I got up yesterday in the morning at 4 o'clock. I worked all day, got called out last night, worked all night, worked all day today, and then I just got home at 7 o'clock, and I am doing the show. So there you go. I've been up for a lot of hours. Yeah.
Well, we got 2 cards up, both of them upside down. First card out, lizard.
Lizard. Okay.
Lizard been showing up a lot lately.
I wouldn't have guessed that one. Oh, I guess I didn't guess that one. Kitty says fox, coyote, deer, fish. There, I don't think there's a fish. No fish. Sorry.
Well, dolphin's a fish.
Fox, beaver. No, there is no kangaroo, Scotty boy. Jeez. Are you a dolphin?
Only in your mind, matey.
Salmon? No, there is no salmon. Maybe eagle or hawk. Yes. There's eagle on hawk.
That's interesting. Okay, so lizard upside down, dog upside down.
Dog or
otter.
Dolphin?
Huh? Dog.
Oh.
Upside down. Otter right side up. Moose right side up. And there's horse right side up, which we haven't had in a while. We haven't had horse.
Otter, moose, horse, dolphin, otter, dog, lizard.
Okie doke. On the last card up is antelope upside down. I think we had antelope last time.
Last week, yeah. We also had, I think we had horse too.
Huh?
We had horse too.
No, we didn't.
We didn't? Or was that the week before? I know we had horse pretty recently, which we hadn't had horse for a
Oh,
long
actually,
time.
you're right. We did have horse because, yep, the shaman came upon the horses and the four, yep.
See, I'm not going senile. Oh, I know what I'm talking about. Yes, F Kitty. We don't have mosquitoes here, but we got lots of flies.
That's why
Flies,
he needs
flies.
the lizard.
That's right. We don't have any lizards here either.
See, I said at the beginning of the show, need lizards, and here I got lizard
No
card.
crap.
I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, that's
I
weird.
shouldn't say that. I've seen one of those salamander dealies. One of those little salamander things was about yay big. A couple of times under a rock.
Well, lizard. Speaking of under a rock, lizard is under the rock, and having a chat with rattlesnake, who eyes him, you know. Oh, well, that's interesting. Who eyes him as a possible meal. But lizard is about dreaming. And so lizard
Dreaming.
has two pairs of eyes. And snake says, well, I could have eaten you. And lizard says, no, you couldn't. And snake says, well, yeah, I could. Your eyes were closed. And he goes, no, I was just in the dream time. I was dreaming you. I was dreaming of the future. I was dreaming of that which could have, could be. You could have eaten me, but you're fat from a mouse, so I knew you wouldn't eat me. So snake goes, good thinking. So now, upside down is, if lizard had turned up in the contrary position, you may be having a nightmare. So y'all think about it. Y'all having nightmares or something? This is a sign of inner conflict. Uh-oh, you got to fight with your id. Look to the nightmare for the clue to the nature of the conflict. What the feelings your nightmare are causing. Breathe through the feelings of what it might be and look for the answer there. Another message of lizard reversed is that you may need more sleep or more dream time. That could also imply that you have a lack of dreams in your future. That's an interesting thought. Imagination is the door to all new ideas and creations. Imagination. And you find imagination in the dream time. And dog, which is companion. So, in some sense, contrary lizard is insisting that you look to your imagination for a new experience. And then dog, companion, I'll be there in a second. Is loyalty. So, that's interesting. So, upside down dog. Say that 3 times. Could mean that there's a loss of loyalty, and that in your dream time you might be having nightmares of losing your loyalty to someone. In other words, somebody is going to betray you in some way. Dog may be telling you that you have become critical or mean due to the company you may be keeping. So, upside down dog is not necessarily, are you growling lately? Reclaim the power of loyalty to yourself and to other truths. Become like dog, your own best friend, and use the dream time. So you lack sleep and you have become your own worst enemy, basically. So you're not man's best friend, you're your own worst enemy. Now, so the next one up is otter. And this otter is all about playfulness. And it's one of the most playful coquettes in the animal kingdom, which is true. When you see them running along the bank back here in the river, they're just so cool to watch. Number 8. Oh, I had it right. Okay. So, and it's right side up, so that's a positive. So, otter is woman medicine. So, otter is always on the move and is very curious. Unlike other animals, otter will never start a fight unless somebody starts a fight with it. If you've drawn this symbol today, um, otter may be telling you to become the playful child and to simply allow things to unfold in your life rather than try to force something to happen. You let it unfold. And it might be that you stop being mean in the process and start being playful again. Number 11 is moose. So you need more sleep. You need more dream time. Um, you need to learn to be loyal to yourself again. And moose is telling you that you need to sharpen your self-esteem. Wow, these are some empowering cards. So sleep in the dream time and get your nightmares out. Find your loyalty to self again and quit being mean to whatever. And then otter, find the playfulness, and moose is about self-esteem. So tell the world your trait is about joyfulness. So there's otter with joyfulness, and here comes moose with joyfulness and self-esteem. The wisdom woven throughout is creation consistently brings forth new ideas, bringing forth new ideas. Ain't that's dreaming about them in with the lizard, right? Otter's bringing forth playfulness and new ideas into the this time. And horse is all about horsepower. Let's just put it there. So you need some horsepower to get her done, basically. And so Moose is telling you to come on now. If you feel like you're lacking some self-esteem, you need to look to horse for the horsepower, the power in order to overcome it. And antelope number 37 is upside down, and that's our last card for this evening. Number 37. Yep, number 35 is horse and its power. So use your power, and it's in the upright position too. So use your own power to um, get out of your system. And guess what antelope is? Action, except it's upside down. So it means that you're stuck with an inaction. So use horse, the power of horse, and to right yourself with antelope and get your act into action. It's a signal that you are not listening and not acting on the will of the Great Spirit. So, in other words, you're not following your own heart. You're not following, what the Creator might have set for you. You're going against the grain. To right contrary antelope, you got to have the desire to do something. You got to muster it up. Make the firm decision to begin that action and then do it. You can sit around and go, well, I'm going to work out there. Oh, I got to change the battery in my truck, which is my thing. And the battery's out there, it's in the truck, but not hooked up. So, action. There you go. Not bad. But what it means is get into action, whatever it is. Take power and get her done.
Yep, get her done. Like it. I like it. Good cards tonight. Good cards. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did anybody win the prize?
No, I don't think so. Not today. I think their best guess was... I'm going back through the scrolling here to see who's got what, but I don't think anybody ain't really anything.
And we got done early. Oh, I got it.
Oh, that's all right. Was up late, early, and in between. So,
and you could use some more sleep because you sounds like you didn't get any. So you're the one that needs more sleep and dream time.
Yes, I've been having daydream nightmares.
There you go.
Dreaming this afternoon. I was working and I closed my eyes for a second, and wouldn't you believe it? I was in Star Wars. I was dreaming of Darth Vader and the stormtroopers were coming, and
Luke, yeah. I am your father. Actually, only your uncle.
Yeah, and
I'm your uncle, Luke.
Yeah. Thanks, Elderberry. Good. Thank you. I asked them, Chloe, I'm always working hard. That's because I'm a hardworking kind of guy. But yeah, no, man, I've had some weird ones. Sometimes they get kind of scary. It's like, during the day, when I have one of those daydreams, it's so lucid. It feels like I'm really there. And it's so vivid. It's like I'm like in another world. All right there. I mean, I tell you, if I write down that stuff during the day, I could describe the colors and the smells and what I'm doing and the people, and yeah, it's like I'm in a whole other world, just like this one. So anyway, yeah, no other entertainment. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, F. Kitty. Yes.
Yeah, I woke up from a dream the other day, and I smelled something cooking in the house, and I was like, "Oh my God!" I woke up. There's somebody's baking pastries. Oh my God! And I woke up, and it was Duggar.
It was Duggar.
But he wasn't baking.
He wasn't baking. See, what was I going to say? It was on the tip of my tongue. Oh, you got a show tonight?
Maybe. I always say that, I know. But it always depends on whether or not I can, YouTube will let me log on. So.
Yep. Let's see. Yep. Scotty Boy's been on vacation somewhere. And, there's Nina. Thank you, Nina. Thank you for putting up the pin. And everybody, remember, get one of these shirts. And Nina, if you haven't been listening, I already did the spiel on the shirt. But anyway, get yourself a Milky Way. This is my brand new shirt. Just got in the mail today. Had the sticker on right here just before I took it off. I was like, oh man, I gotta take this. See, here's the sticker. Streamlabs. Go get yours over at Streamlabs. Support Nina. Help her out. She's going to see a holistic whatever doctor people, and we want to support her and help her get some good doctoring. So go over there, and we're trying to fundraise her. So she's got plenty of things out. Go buy a shirt, go buy some stuff, or just donate her some money to get her going. Because hey, we all need a little bit of help, one way or another sometimes, and there you go. So good for you, and we will get you there. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. We're going to push hard. But anyway, go support Nina on her channel in the Streamlabs. The link is in the description below, or it's the pinned comment in the chat here. If you're watching the chat. So anyway, and you got maybe have a show tonight. Get yourself some coffee. Stay up late. You got the hat on. It's gonna work. I know it's gonna work. And me, I'm gonna go to bed. But we do have a show coming up Saturday night, and on the 14th, believe it or not, I will be on Nina's show, and we will have R. Wayne Steiger on, and we're gonna be talking about all kinds of good things. So join us over there on Nina's channel, right over there, Nina the Mystic. If you haven't subscribe, go on over there and subscribe. Link is in the description below. Anyway, so thank you very much, everyone, for joining me. Hope you learned a little bit of something. Enjoyed the story from Hawkeye. He tells the best stories. Actually got a bonus night tonight, 2 of them, and it's all good, right?
The tobacco is for old men to sit on the porch in their rocking chairs and
just
think of times past and to think of times future. That was really a good story to wrap up with. I really like that.
It is. And don't forget to go over to Lucky Stone's channel if you want to have a little walk through nature as he explains all the good things going on over there. The Perkins farm. I see there was a windstorm. I hope they get that cleaned up for you, and so you can walk the trails again. So anyway, with that, everybody, everybody's saying good night. Much love. Thank you, everybody. Remember, summer's coming to winding in, at least around here. The froze already. My garden's done, and the leaves are turning, and the birds are flying overhead. So thank you. Enjoy the fall weather. With that, remember to go out and be nice to somebody. It'll make your heart smile. And with that, be the frequency you want to receive, everybody. Love y'all. Peace, everyone.